Hi to my collective. Thank you for being here with me today. Sorry I have not been on here for quite a while. I wanted to pop on here and share some things with you that I've recently been going through. So, I recently lost my father. He passed away on Saturday, May the 11th. I got a call from the hospice nurse from the hospital that he was in, and she said that he had been declining and was declining very rapidly. And I asked her on the phone, like, should I get in the car and start driving? Is it that bad? And she said, yes. If I were you, I would come. So I called my sister on Friday evening. She came after work. We jumped in the car and drove 15 and a half hours down to Florida. Got there about 12:30ish in the afternoon. By the time I got to my dad, he was not really verbal, not able to move his limbs, was declining pretty rapidly, and passed away at 11:37 that night on Saturday. Losing your parent is not easy. Even if you think you're prepared for it, it's not easy. And through that whole process, I've been a nurse for about the last 20 years, so I've watched a lot of people cross over and pass on. And I thought that I would be better emotionally prepared for that situation just due to, what I do for a living. However, I really was not prepared for how deeply that was going to leave a sting. Though he did pass peacefully, and I'm very thankful that we were able to be there to hold his hand, and I was able to tell him how much I love him and how much I appreciate the things that he has done for me in my life. There were some very spiritual things that also happened in that room, which I'm not completely unaccustomed to. I've been part of many people passing, and I've seen unexplainable things take place and happen. But my dad wasn't too spiritual of a person. Some of the things that I believe in, he kind of thought were hocus pocus. So I often wonder now if he's on the other side, like, oh, she was kind of right about some of this stuff. And I think so because he's been sending me signs. And my condolences to anyone who has lost somebody recently very near and dear to them. I want you to know that your loved one is, in fact, watching over you and sending signs to you through music, TV, outside in nature, butterflies. For instance, right when my dad passed and took his last breath, the nurses came in to assess. The lights above us started to flicker. Like all of the lights in the room were like flickering and doing this. And my sister and I just said, okay, Dad, we see you. We love you. Go be with the light. We know you're going to watch over us. We're going to be okay. And then on the way out of the hospital, it was probably about 12:30 midnight, as me and my sister were leaving the hospital, there was a dragonfly. And it was a big dragonfly too. It wasn't little. It was big, and it was yellow with black polka dots. And as we were trying to walk out of this hospital, it was like a maze, and everything was like locked and closed because it was like late at night and they lock all the doors. So we were like moseying down these hallways trying to figure our way out. I had to go to the security officer to ask him for directions, and he was so sweet. He let us out of the hospital. And as we were being led out, another dragonfly literally was like flying and just like flying and buzzing above my head, like trying to like land on me. And I was like, oh, like, okay, Dad, I see ya. Like, and my sister was like, wow, that's interesting. And I thought so too. And then the next morning, as we were leaving the hotel to go get something to eat for breakfast and hit the road to make our 15-and-a-half-hour journey back home, there was this bush. And in this bush, there were like 15 or 16 butterflies, just like some chilling on it, some like just like kind of flying low, like all around this bush. It was probably about like 8 o'clock in the morning. And they were yellow with black polka dots on them. It was very cool, very cool. And as we were driving home, my sister and I, we were listening to music, and all of a sudden, out of nowhere, because when my dad was passing away, he loved Sade, and I always tease him because he always called Sade Sadie. And I'm like, Dad, it's Sade, it's not Sadie. So anyway, so when we were playing it, we laid the phone next to him in the bed, and we sang Smooth Operator. Bleh, I can't even talk. Smooth Operator by Sade. And as we were driving home, that came on the radio. And we were just like, okay, Dad, thank you for sending us signs. So maybe some of you don't think that your loved ones are trying to talk to you and send you signs from the other side. I assure you, they most definitely are. And they are probably trying anything and everything they can to console you and let you know that they are in a better place and that they will be looking after you and sending you blessings for certain. And they probably want you to give forgiveness to whatever needs to be forgiven. And those are some of the things that I've been experiencing. And of course, I forgive my father. I love him very much. Life was not easy. My father was a Vietnam veteran. He suffered terribly from post-traumatic stress disorder. So my heart goes out to all of the brave men and women who have served our country, who have been in combat, and who have post-traumatic stress disorder. I pray for you. I am so glad that I think nowadays there is a lot more resources and a lot more better understanding than there was in my father's day. And unfortunately, his way of coping with his post-traumatic stress disorder was to drink alcohol. And because of that, my dad pushed away a lot of people. And I was one of the people that never gave up on my dad. And I'm very proud of my siblings for giving forgiveness. And I'm extremely proud of them for being a part of his life at the end of his life, so that everybody could have closure and he could go in peace, and he did go peacefully. There was utter peace in that room. At one point, I could even see like this kind of swirling of like energy in the room, and then as I just kind of like looked further at it in meditation or whatever, I literally could like just see wings, just tons and tons of wings, and it was just like white, not really light. It's like, it was like flickers of stuff, but it came together as some kind of like transparent image. All I can describe as like pure energy. It was like a rapid moving white light energy, and I could see like these wings, because I even told my sister as we were sitting there before Dad took his last breath, I said, there's no way I'm tripping. Am I tripping? I was like, I am seeing angels all around his bed. and they were there with him. And I have peace knowing that he's no longer suffering. So I just want to say that if there's anybody that you love and near and dear to you that you need to give forgiveness to, better to do it now than when they pass away, when it's too late. Give forgiveness to yourself and to that person. And most of the times when we give forgiveness, it's healing for ourselves. It's a release for ourselves, because I mean, I always tell myself that at the end of the day, like 100 years from now, like, is any of this even going to matter? Is anyone 100 years from now going to know that you and I were here or what we were doing? Probably not. Do you know your ancestors from just 100 years ago, what they were doing? Or who they were, or the mistakes they made, or the great things that they did or didn't do, or what kind of jobs they even had, what their favorite color was? We don't know. 100 years from now, it's not going to matter. And if you think about it, 100 years is not really that long. It really isn't. I think they consider a generation like, what, 30 years is like the typical time period for a generation. So I just want to put that out there. You know, really at the end of the day, it's up to you. And remember, it's all about balancing light and dark. It's all about duality, night and day, life and death, right? Hot and cold, happiness, sadness, love, hate. They all balance out together in this drama of life that we live in. And if we can take the time to meditate and just to quietly and calmly go through things, we actually learn a lot more in the darkness than we do in the light. So there's that aspect too. I was reading a book. Hold on, I'm gonna kind of adjust the camera here because I have this book setting down here. So just bear with me for a second. I'm gonna scoochy boochy you over a little bit. But my daughter had given me this book to read, and I really love it a lot. You can see the title of it here. And she gave me this book because she said when she lost her cousin, she read this book and it really helped her a lot with some of the feelings that she was feeling. And I want to share something in here that I just happened to come across and read. And it just settled with me today. And I would like to share it with you if I can find it back here. I think it's this one here. Okay. And it's not the whole chapter, but it's part of it. And I just want to read a little bit from it. It's on page 62. Let me see what it says let me actually start from the page before, actually, on 61. It says, "But for me the danger is not only that they render those who have passed away less concrete, and least, for the moment, less reachable for us, but even we ourselves in our longing for a beyond away from here become in that process less concrete and less earthbound. While it is our obligation, as long as we are here and related to tree, flower, and soil, to remain earthbound in the purest sense, and even yet to become so. In my case, what had died for me, so to speak, had died into my own heart. When I looked for the person who had passed away, he gathered inside of me a peculiar and such surprising ways. And it was deeply moving to feel that he now existed only there. Isn't that beautiful? To think that the people that we love, it's kind of bittersweet, but the people that we love that pass on, though they may leave us here physically in the present, they will forever be alive in our hearts. And so essentially, they become a part of us, within us. And I just wanted to share that because I thought that was so beautiful. And I hope that helps someone out there who is going through the grieving process and trying to understand what happens when we cross over. Is there life after death? Is anything that we're doing here, does it really have any meaning to it at all? Or is it just all by chance? And I think that it all absolutely has meaning. I think that we all absolutely chose to be here and chose to be on these paths. I think we chose one another, and just as important as is the light, so is the dark. We all chose to have good qualities and bad qualities, and we all chose to work out different scenarios so that we could come here and have an experience that we learn from, that we then take to the other side and pass down to generations, so that each generation that comes in our bloodline can be better than what was before. And I believe that with all my heart and my soul. And I'm just going to pull a couple of cards too, because I just feel like I should just pull from this deck here, the Spiral Oracle. I just feel like Spirit has something to say to each one of us during kind of like this somber time. I feel like there's a lot of people who in this time and recently have lost some very near and dear people to them, and you might be feeling lost or overwhelmed or forgotten or abandoned. And I want to tell you that you're not, and you're not alone, and we can all share our griefs and our sorrows and lean on one another. You are all absolutely my soul family, so I send my loving, healing vibrations to each and every one of you. And I thank you also for your love and support, for your good vibes that you send to me also. I appreciate and love every single one of you. No one said that when we signed up for this journey, it was going to be easy. But we sure are going to learn a lot, and learn a lot together, and grow together. And for that, I'm really excited. So let me just pull a couple of cards from here. Let's see what falls out of the deck. Whatever. Got 2 cards here right away. And the first card that I have here is beautiful. It says life. How fitting for the message that I just shared with all of you. Life. It's a picture of, I think, is this a jaguar or is it a cheetah? One of the two. I always get them confused. I think it's a jaguar. Looks like he's just about to take a drink of some water down here. He's like meditating or contemplating something, His third eye chakra up here is lit up. These beautiful eyes. Don't cats, they have like amazing vision in the dark? Like their sense of vision, is like amazing when it comes to seeing in the dark. Let's read, what does life mean? Let me see here. Here we go. Life. I turn my attention to my inner strength with stealth and diligence. In this darkness, I listen to the silence that speaks the words of the great mystery. I rediscover the benefits of concentration, consciousness, and contemplation. When I look into the darkness of the unknown, the jaguar gives me into the light on the other side. That's beautiful. She tests me, giving me the strength to move fiercely in the wilderness, reminding me that once I learn to walk quietly in the darkness, I will be able to find unbreakable peace on my path. Little by little, the masks and bonds are destroyed. My inner beast is integrated with courage. Life is reborn. Today, I surrender uncertainty. This is the great challenge. And let's say this out loud together one more time. Today, I surrender to uncertainty. This is the great challenge. Stability, balance. I was not paying the necessary attention, and it was much simpler than I thought. I keep my eyes wide open to what this moment has to offer. Almost without realizing it, an opportunity appeared in front of me that I had not seen before. An opportunity to overcome inner blocks that had not allowed me to grow. Now I know how to move and how to go forward. An intervention from above, from within, stabilizes me. I find the conscious tools that will guide me from now on. And it says, we build too many walls and not enough bridges. Oh, I absolutely love that. That is so fitting. So fitting. I love how spirit works. That is extremely fitting for what I was just talking about. And the second card we have is Cosmic Uterus. It's a really pretty card. It's like this beautiful woman, and there's like a lotus flower. You see the lotus flower? If you know the story of the lotus flower, it starts its journey off down in the muck and the mud of the swamps. And through the muck and the mud, it has to push its way all the way to the top of this thick, muddy, sludgy water. And when it gets to the very top, it blossoms and blooms into this amazingly gorgeous flower. But its journey starts off very dark, muddy, mucky, and yucky. This is a beautiful card. And on one side, there's a wolf. And on the other side, it looks like a leopard. I think it's a leopard. Cosmic Uterus. It's a beautiful card. Let's see what this says. And we will conclude this message here with this last Cosmic Uterus. Let's see. Here it is. Cosmic Uterus. Since time immemorable, the seed of life has been planted and nourished by the energy of the universe. The sun fertilizes the earth, and the earth gives birth to all her species. Life, in any of its forms, manifests itself in light. I am that light. I am life contemplating itself. In the mystery of my origin, I glimpse a succession of wombs intertwined in blood, stories, and legacies. Stories of life-giving women going back to the